Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome back, and delighted to have with us today an author I think you're going to want to get familiar with. Delighted to have with us today Bruce Peppin. And he has been with Focus on the Family there in the leadership and executive leadership for over 30 years. He's written books. He's a graduate, master's degree of divinity from Talbot School of Theology. He's authored a terrific book, and it's entitled The Best Is Yet to Be, Moving Mountains in Midlife. And he may be something that I've always said, whatever God has saved you from or bringing you through, turns you around, makes you a minister too. So I'm just assuming that he is in my class. He's a baby boomer. Yes. Are you, Bruce?
Yes, I'm a baby boomer. Great to be with you.
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. There's this unique season of life for the boomers and those kind of in this general midlife years that we're being confronted with some challenges that are unexpected at times.
Said that we messed it up. Now we want to spend the rest of our life fixing it.
Well, that's true. We can maybe think the best years are behind us, but I'd like to say, our best years are still in front of us. That may take a bit of a stretch on our thinking, but I do believe that's the case.
All right. So why did you write this book? What was going on that made you think that we had to address this issue?
Well, I just hit a wall, and I just didn't know that I could continue my employment. I'm working for this ministry called Focus on the Family. I wasn't sure I could keep my family together or even my faith intact. I was pretty rocked, and I had to take a month off, saw a psychiatrist, really had to do some deep soul searching there because I felt God wasn't showing up. I felt pretty abandoned, and life wasn't working out like I thought it would. So it took me through some deep waters, and I didn't want to go there again. So part of this book came out of that journey. It's like, Lord, I don't want to go there. What does it really mean to finish well for you?
Is it midlife or burnout?
Well, I think it could be both. I think we can get into the midlife season, and we've logged a lot of miles. There's a lot of things that happen to us, and what happens often is when we think we can simplify and downshift in our life, hard realities crowd in, and things that are unexpected, and if we're not careful, it can kind of derail us. And so part of this book is a hopeful word of encouragement to say, you know what? Even though you may feel like we're facing some mountains in life, God has a plan to get us through them, and we can really enter a season where I believe is our season of greatest influence in our life.
Did this impact your marriage?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it really did. And, my wife and I, honestly, we've journeyed through, and like many, I'm sure, that are listening and watching today, we had opportunities to take counseling, and I would recommend that. We really had to do some deep soul searching. So, yeah, I mean, marriage is one of those mountains that all of a sudden, where we maybe have pushed some issues aside when we have empty nest, marriage issues come front and center, financial pressures, health concerns. There's a lot of things that crowd in unexpectedly. What
did you mean by the gray divorce?
Well, this is a really surprising statistic. And those that are 50 and over, researchers have found that divorce rates have doubled in the last 20 years for that demographic, where others are flattening and trending down. Those in the 50 and over crowd have doubled. In fact, Pew, in their research, said that the midlife season is the most demanding and stressful of all. So something's going on at this time that we want to be aware of so we can know how to deal with it effectively.
Bruce, I've seen two categories of baby boomers: those who want to retire early and those who do not even think about retirement.
Right. Yes. Well, I think too, for the financial realities for many boomers, we've been hit pretty hard with the economy and everything that's happened the last several years. So at least we're postponing what we thought would be more the traditional retirement. But think of this, with medical technology and health, even if you retire at 65, ideally, although that may be pushed out a ways, we could live another 30 years. That's a whole nother lifetime. And I think God wants us to have a renewed vision for those years because we have all the experience and the scars to prove it. And God wants to use our lives in a season of influence, I believe.
So when did you shift from significance or from success to significance?
Well, I guess for me, and maybe I represent the common man, I think, I don't know, there was a success. I'm working for a terrific ministry, and I've had a lot of meaningful things there. But my journey hasn't been all that easy. We've had a lot of challenges along the way. So I would say success, perhaps not in the traditional sense of, hey, you made a ton of money, and I can cruise into retirement. No, it's been a fairly challenging season, but significance is always right there before us, where we may think our life is like that little pebble we just drop into a pond, a few little ripples, but I think God says, you know what? Your life is a lot more than that. It's like a big rock you can heave in with ripples that'll influence future generations.
You deal with an interesting topic. I think you call them the four powerful kings that serve our enemy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I took that from this amazing chapter where Joshua's going into the promised land, and he's having to face these kings that resist him. I mean, everywhere he turned. In fact, what's amazing, if you read in Joshua 12, he had to defeat 31 kings. And I don't know if we realize that. So he had to face a lot of things. So the image in my life that I had kings to face, I think we all have kings that I would say the enemy, our adversary, the devil would put there to defeat us. So for me, it was a sense of rejection, failure at times, sensing that fear would creep in, and that kind of made me doubt myself. So those were four kings that loomed before me that I had to defeat with God's power, not my own. I had to understand God wanted to defeat those. So whatever those kings represent in our life, depending on our journey, we'll have different kings that kind of stand against us. So we can defeat them with God's help.
Bruce, here you are working for a ministry, you're in ministry, you studied theology, and you hit a wall that even questioned your faith. How in the world did you balance? How did you struggle through that one?
Well, and isn't that ironic? I mean, here I am in this Christian ministry, but I was very disconnected from God in my day-to-day routine. It wouldn't add up. Part of it was I thought I knew what my life should be like and what would make me happy. And it was really life on my terms. And I realized that's not going to work. That keeps me in a cul-de-sac, just circling around. God has a much bigger plan. If I say, okay, Lord, I'll trust you. It's your terms, and you will show up for me. I just couldn't see God showing up where he was all the time, but I just didn't have eyes to recognize it. So really, God, it's your terms, and you will show up for me.
All right, the book is entitled The Best Is Yet to Be, Moving Mountains in Midlife, and it is by Bruce Peppin. There's a picture of it there on the screen, those watching on theDove TV. Let me encourage you to check it out at the bookstores, and it's put out by David C. Cook Publishing. All right, Bruce, let's bring this in for landing. Actually, I think you're worth a series. I'd like to do a series with you, but for today's purposes, what would you advise a couple, a man or a woman? They're in their midlife, they're frustrated, maybe they're taking it out in their marriage, their job isn't fulfilling, life overall is just kind of flat. What do you say?
Oh man, first of all, to say, I'm with you. You are in the right where so many of us are, but it's also not a time where you just throw in the towel, but there's some opportunities. And just to say, I came across a name of God that I had never heard of before. Back when David was a new king, the Philistines were going to try to take him out. God delivered him in such an amazing way that David said, God, you're the Lord of the breakthrough. It was like a mighty flood of waters. It wiped out this fierce opponent. And that's a name of God I would encourage people to think. That's 2 Samuel 5:20. To go there and look at that passage, because that's who God wants to be for us. the Lord of the breakthrough. And we do need it in our marriages, there's no doubt. But God can show up for us even in that tough time of our marriage life.
So, do you think God can use a burnout guy?
Well, I'm right here. It's burned out. And remember, for me, it's not performance or perfection. It's really our brokenness and the flaws that God will use. And let's be real about it. Let's be honest with each other and say, you know what? We need help on this journey. But He'll be there and surprise us with some opportunities of service that maybe we haven't expected, even with our flaws. He can use us in significant ways.
Best to you, my friend. You're an inspiration. And let me encourage you to check out the book. It's entitled The Best Is Yet to Be, Moving Mountains in Midlife by Bruce Peppin. Thank you, my friend. Best to you and Jim Daly and all the staff there. Say hi to John as well. He and I go back quite a ways. And thanks for what you're doing. And let's get you back. Maybe do a little series on this subject.
Right. I'd love to do that. Thank you.
Talk to you soon. All right. We'll be right back.